Okay, guys, this is going to be highly Islamophobic, okay? This is culture. First of all, that's the best flip of a prayer call I've ever heard. I mean, growing up in Saudi, prayer calls are not shit that I was trying to hear like that. Okay, and you had to hear it. Okay, that's what it's like to live under Islam. There is no like, oh, like, hey, do you think, yeah, you know, is it too loud? We don't want to disturb you at 5 a.m. No. That's not part of the conversation, okay? In an Islamic world, there are no rights. You are Muslim, and if you're not Muslim, you're a dhimmi. That is how these people behave, okay? You have to keep your fucking head down and not talk about what other religion you are, or you risk getting hurt or fired. Anyway.
Paradise Lost, fuck if you like it. Hasan,
Hip-hop,
Salaam,
you know what I'm saying?
Fifth column, really don't give a fuck if you like it or not. Yeah, I don't do this shit for no goddamn sales or nothing. I'm trying to save my soul. Prayer from a sinner. I'm trying to save my soul.
Let's go.
Another prayer from a sinner. Trying to save my soul. Yeah.
It's like, you know what's funny? This beat's kind of like some high-tech shit. I wonder who made this beat. Now that I think about it, I remember when this song came out. This is old, yeah. Whew, 2005. It's very high-tech-ish, but Craig Rip. Anyway. He's like, I do my best to pray 5 times a day. Well, that's part of the problem, isn't it? But again, if you are practicing your faith in a way that does not impinge on my rights, why would I care? But here's the problem with Islam. Islam, by nature, is all about jihad. Jihad, right? And look, the wool has come off. The mask has come off a lot of this shit. October 7, in a big way, took that mask off. Because what you saw happen in Israel and what you're seeing happen in Sudan now and you've seen happen in Nigeria is Islam. This is what we've been trying to tell you. As people who grew up in these regions, I grew up in the Middle East and Africa, I've been trying to tell you. Of course, some clown will call me Islamophobic, but that's just their way of diminishing my rights, right? You see, like, I understand the game, okay? The woke game is a very sad game at the end of the day. And especially when it comes from people who pretend to care about the rights of minorities, who pretend to be black, but then won't say shit about what's going on in Sudan. They have nothing to say about that. When my people are getting beheaded in Nigeria, have nothing to say about that. And so when I say, hey, look, listen, there's this ideology out here that is literally killing us, and they're being funded by oil money, okay? And I don't like that shit because it says, and they're very blatant about saying why they're trying to kill me and why they want to kill me. You go, oh, that's Islamophobic, dismiss him, fire him, kill him, right? Anyway, what's happening in Sudan right now is not Islamists killing Muslims, it's Muslims killing Muslims. I recommend that if you're on Twitter, follow Dan Burmami. He knows what the fuck he's talking about, okay? Again, super Islamophobic shit I'm talking about right now. The day Muhammad died, his companions left his body to rot while they met at a place called whatever to decide who would inherit the empire. And within 20 years, they started to kill each other. Because this is something that anyone who lived in the Muslim world will especially know. Muslims kill Muslims all the time. In fact, the vast majority of crimes that occur due to Muslims are onto other Muslims. It's an ideology that eats itself because it's constantly saying that it's okay, it's a license to rape, murder, steal, essentially, from anyone you deem to be kuffar, to be not Muslim enough. right? Which is obviously a horrible ideology. Why people would even like be cool with that shit is beyond me. But my point is, when you hear about the RSF and the SAF and there's a civil war going on, this is a civil war that is complex, but ultimately these two groups were homies, right? If you look into Sudan, they were homies, but then and just destroyed Sudan, frankly. Arab, Muslim, homies, whatever, and then they split up, and now there's a civil war going on. And again, at the core of all this stuff is just Islamic garbage. Okay? Now, what I think is very interesting about this is there is this campaign, right, that is being run where I see the pre-Palestine folk, they'll post stuff about, oh, UAE is causing genocide. And I was like, why are they speaking about UAE all of a sudden? That's kind of interesting. And so I happen to follow some people who are from UAE, who are very learned, who are not Palestine bots. And essentially their argument, and I can't verify this because I don't know enough about the situation, but their argument, and I trust Amjad Taha, he's a good guy, he seems to be a good guy. He was saying that, look, at the end of the day, this campaign it's fake news bullshit designed to demonize the UAE because the UAE is the least hostile to Israel. Okay? Because if you notice, you'll see that a lot of these Palestine folks are basically saying, free Sudan, what's happening is genocide, just like what's happening in Gaza, right? Again, it's an attempt to shift away focus from Sudan and put it right back onto the Islamic project known as Palestine. Okay? It's super deceitful, super ugly, and it's depraved because at the end of the day, what's happening in Gaza is not a genocide and never has been a genocide, but what's happening in Sudan is an actual genocide, and it's caused by the same people in Gaza, essentially, the same ideology, right? That Arab Muslim supremacy garbage is the same Arab Muslim supremacy garbage that has ruined Sudan over many decades, actually, and is especially going rampant right now. Okay? So, it's very deceitful shit. But my point is that if you read this particular tweet, and you can find it, you can just Google on your own, but essentially the argument is that because the UAE condemned October 7, which many Arab countries did not, and of course many Muslims praised October 7 as they did 9/11. So now that there's this genocide in Sudan, what they're trying to do, what the Free Palestine, Iranian, Turkey types are trying to do is essentially create this narrative, UAE, right? To deflect from the fact that, in fact, what's really going on with the Muslim Brotherhood Army, the SAF, who are the ones committing, well, both sides are, I'm sure, committing atrocities, but they're trying to deflect away from what they're doing. And I just think it's interesting. The big point that I want to nail here, there's two major things, and I'll get to the latter point, which is about Islam in general, how destructive it is. But the first point is that you have to really interrogate your sources when it comes to these wars, because these wars are now information wars, and they're fought on internet, and there's a lot of AI and bullshit. Okay? For example, Majid, who's another, I think, Emirati that I've followed or I've taken a look at. Now, he claims, again, similar to what Amjad Taha is saying, that essentially Turkey and Iran are supporting this Muslim Brotherhood SAF, right? And what they're doing is they're blaming the Sudanese one side, and they're blaming the RSF and saying, oh, the RSF are evil and they're being funded by UAE, while completely, obviously avoiding the fact that they're funding the other group, which is through the Muslim Brotherhood, who commit genocide. And these two groups were ex-best friends, like I said before. This is literally a tale of two friends who's split apart, two Muslim friends who split apart a country, right? And they're using AI videos, fake testimony, recycled war footage. We saw all of this when it came to the Israel-Gaza war, right? A lot of fake old footage from Syria and other places, a lot of fake shit, Hollywood, right? So you just have to be very, very careful, because this is digital jihad in another way. Now, he's claiming that these are all fake videos. Is it? Is it not? I don't know, right? But I do know one thing. Oh yeah, and he says using Sudan's tragedy for engagement farming. Yeah, that's how depraved the Palestine movement is. They're literally doing that. I've seen it on IG. That's the whole point. right? It's like, oh yeah, free Sudan and fuck Israel. By the way, follow us. It's engagement farming. That's all this is. But the point is, you must question what you read, okay? If it doesn't make sense, because I did see this video. Now, I did see that video. And again, part of me, you just got to be careful, man. You got to be careful with this stuff. But ultimately, it sucks to say this, but the reason why I'm so vocal on Islam is Islam has destroyed Africa. This is not a new problem. And again, we said this. People, whether it be Africans, people from the Middle East, we know this shit very, very well because we've lived amongst Muslims and we know their tactics. It's attack, and instantly claim victimhood, right? It's the worst shit ever, man. It's depraved. And so that brings me to my final point, right? On my Islamophobic chair. Ooh, this is a doozy. But I have to agree. You know, somebody was arguing with me about this, and funny enough, in the comment section. And I don't mind an argument. Again, you know what? See, I love a conversation. I don't mind being wrong about shit. Let me show you. So I was talking about Mobb Deep and AI. Somebody was in there arguing about, well, you hating on the Arabs, but the Arabs brought Islam brought intellectual brilliance to the dark Africa. Again, I've heard these racist, low-key racist arguments before, right? This idea that Islam has this intellectual side to it. It's complete bullshit. Okay, this so-called Islamic golden era, like what we were talking about in Timbuktu in the 13th, 14th century, right? It wasn't the fruit of Islam. It was the desperate grasp of brilliance from conquered civilizations trying to breathe under increasingly suffocating ideology. People forget that the Muslims conquered Persia, and Persia is the Persians are sophisticated as hell. One of the oldest societies in the world that we know of, right? The Islamic conquest, the Persians had all this knowledge. Yeah, they became Muslim because they were forced to become Muslim. But then Muslims take credit for that shit. But ultimately, that's what Islam does. It just hijacks shit. An ideology that is more concerned with having people submit, and if you don't submit, you either pay the jizya, okay, which is a racist, discriminatory tax that was very heavy and very painful. You either live as a third-class citizen who can be essentially raped or killed at any time they so choose, or you're just flat-out killed, right? Again, they're just following what's in their text, right? If it's for I think it's for the Jews and the Christians, they can pay a jizya. Everyone else is just, if you're like a polytheist, just cut off the head, like end with, be done with that. And so my point is, the world is going to find out. The smart people, those who want to listen, who are paying attention, they're going to find out that Islam is the worst shit ever. Like, they're really going to, and at some point, until Muslim societies come face to face with this and say, nah, enough. We can't continue to do this. This is not healthy for us and for the rest of the world. And we need to completely delete, reform, ignore all this bad shit that is in the hadiths and the Quran. Until that happens, we're just going to get more and more of this shit. But people are going to wake up. And my thing is, if you're a Muslim, you cannot blame people like me and others who are now like, oh, y'all are, we're keeping an eye open like this. Keep one eye open like CBS. You see me stress, right? Can I live? Peace.